The Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver room is looking a little thin on Sunday, but so is the New England Patriots secondary. Stick around, you're about to be locked in to this Cincinnati Bengals New England Patriots preview episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage and, of course, part of your pregame coverage. Don't forget, Locked On Patriots is not only a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, but we're also free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, so smash that subscribe button. Download, subscribe to, follow Locked On Patriots wherever you get your podcasts to ensure you're getting the latest episode as soon as it's available. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Athlon Sports, so reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots social media style, please feel free to follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnNFL, LOCKEDON NFL, to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Pats fans, the time for the talk is just about over. The 2024 NFL regular season has already kicked off, but it officially kicks off for your New England Patriots this Sunday, September 8th. The Queen City, Cincinnati, Ohio, Paycor Stadium, your New England Patriots taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, a 1 p.m. kickoff, and it is going to be an exciting time. A new era beginning for New England. First regular season head coaching appearance for Gerard Mayo, Jacoby Brissett getting the start, and a lot of star power in this game, or is there? That's what we're here to talk about today. And joining me to do so is my esteemed colleague here on Locked On, the host of the Locked On Boston, Locked On Patriots Postcast, my good friend Cam Stuart. Cam, thank you for joining me today and welcome back to Locked On Patriots, bud.
Thank you for having me, Mike. We are like fully into the first full weekend of football here. I'm so here for it. I could do without the Friday night games for the NFL as I'm coming to you from Texas. We've got another big sport we do on Friday nights in the fall. I could do without the NFL, but I'm so glad that we're getting football every day now, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Football is back in a big way, and what a great weekend to kick it off. Folks, as you can see, it is a little different studio look here. The Locked On Patriots studios, along with yours truly, undergoing a move. So I want to thank all of you for hanging in there with Locked On Patriots. And please pardon our appearance while we upgrade the facilities here in our new location for Locked On Patriots. But we're still going to bring you the same great content, and Cam is such a huge part of that. And I'm so glad that he could join me here today. And Cam, normally we'd be talking about the quarterback matchup to start this season. Joe Burrow coming back after a season-ending injury last year. He's one of the best in the league. Jacoby Brissett getting the start for the Patriots. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we talked about pregame for the Patriots Commanders about whether or not Drake May could leapfrog Jacoby to get the start in week one. Patriots taking a more temperate approach. They went with Jacoby Brissett. And we're going to get into the quarterback matchup, specifically how Jacoby is going to be able to slice through that Bengals defense. All right, folks, I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but we're going to talk about how he might be able to navigate through it. But I think the news of the day here, Cam, is the injuries, the participation report. And there's some interesting names on this list that we're going to discuss here today, folks. In case you haven't noticed, on Saturday, one day after the final practice and participation report was published for both teams, the New England Patriots added safety Jabril Peppers to the list as questionable with a hip injury. This one was interesting to me, Cam, because Jabril has practiced all week long. He hasn't been listed on the report. Saturday was the first day it popped up. That's usually not a good sign that he's going to be able to give it a go. Obviously, he hasn't been ruled out yet, and until the inactives come out or until we hear more, folks, at the time we're recording this, Jabril is officially listed as questionable. That's looking a little bit rough, and it does thin out the mix in terms of what the Patriots can bring defensively in the secondary. Of course, the Patriots also dealing without City. So he will be out with an ankle injury. He did not participate in practice all week. Still waiting a little more on his long-term prognosis, but obviously he is out for Sunday's game. Antonio Gibson, limited all week long with a hip injury. He's questionable, as is Vidarian Lowe with an abdomen injury, and Joshua Uche with a foot injury. Those are the Patriots right now that are on the bubble about playing on Sunday. Well, the Bengals have their own issue when it comes to game participation, and one of these was a little bit of a surprise. Did not participate in practice on Friday, officially listed as doubtful. That is wide receiver T. Higgins. The Bengals also may be without the services of Jamar Chase, who continues to have contract negotiation problems. He was a limited participant in practice all week long until Friday, when he was a full participant, officially listed as questionable. So, Cam, that's a mouthful. That's an awful lot to absorb if you're a Patriots or a Bengals fan. When you look at this list of walking wounded, or I guess maybe the best way for me to put this would be walking disgruntled when it comes to Jamar Chase. What are your thoughts on what it means for Sunday's game?
Well, I think you can't, kind of undersell how much the Jabril Peppers injury could impact the Patriots defense. I mean, we talk about, obviously the offense, there's not much in terms of expectations, but that defense could still be a top 5 unit. And I think it's been kind of underrated how big time Jabril Peppers has been for this defense the last 2 years. I'd go as far as saying he's been your best defensive player the last 2 years. And he's been on the field, he's been dependable, and he's been quarterbacking that unit. And it's not the Belichick days anymore. It's not Brady with the left shoulder soreness every week on the injury report, right? This is a late addition to it. It's not a great sign, like you said. So I think that's the big one for the Patriots. And for Cincinnati, I think this limited participation is something that could give Patriots fans some hope. T. Higgins doesn't sound like he's going to play. And Jamar Chase, it sounds like he probably is. But again, limited throughout this time. And you've also got to factor into this that Joe Burrow hasn't played in a long time. I'm a big Joe Burrow guy. I think he gets back to form this year and they become an AFC contender again. But this is week 1. Okay. This is the first time with the live bullets at real game speed that he's had in a long time. And to take your top 2 receivers and basically have half of one of them, or maybe 3/4 of one of them, that's a big difference. And they don't have some of those sure-handed guys like a Tyler Boyd anymore. So I think that gives a little bit of hope to Patriots fans of Cincinnati might start this game slow. You might be able to take a lead on them, or at least, get some defensive momentum against them. So I think it probably, that injury report list for both teams, I think that helps the Patriots a little bit more than it hurts them. And part of that, Mike, is because I have no expectations for this offensive line anyway. Okay. Because you look at City So was a guy who started 14 games for them last year. Vidarian Lowe, as sad as it sounds at the end of this preseason, we're like, oh God, I hope we can get Vidarian Lowe back to be the left tackle. And that's never a good thing to say, and neither of those guys look like they're going to play on Sunday. So that seems like it's a big deal. But honestly, if you look at the drop off from that offensive line to the ideal Patriots offensive line to what it's actually going to be on Sunday, that's less of a drop off versus the ideal Bengals weapons situation versus what it could be on Sunday. So I think that should give a little bit of hope to Patriots fans that at the very least, there's going to be a ton of rust on this offensive side for the Bengals and trying to work some new weapons into the fold with their top 2 guys. And if you look at last year, top 3 guys down to about almost one of those guys.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Ton of good points in there. But mostly, I think the biggest point and the best point that you made was the rust that will be on this Bengals offense. Burrow has not played in a while. Obviously, what we've seen from him in the preseason, what we've seen from him in training camp is that there doesn't seem to be many limitations from that wrist surgery that ended his season last year. But until you get into an actual regular season game setting, you don't know exactly how that's going to work. He needs to get hit. He needs to be able to scramble move around a little bit, maybe make some moves that he's not used to making in order to really see what he can do fully on the football field. So that's point one. And that, I think, is going to be the case no matter who's in the lineup, whether Higgins actually does suit up, which it doesn't look like he's going to. Chase right now, I'd say, is probably about a 75-25 that he will end up giving this a go. And, you know, you've got some new faces on this list as well. They've got the intriguing new slot option and Andre Yosevis. He replaces what Tyler Boyd tried to bring to the table last year. Mike Gesicki, an old friend of the family here in New England, he's now an option not only as a tight end, but we know from his time in New England, he likes to line up in the slot. He can be used as an extra receiver. This guy can make things happen in the red zone. He can make things happen in short yardage. So these are all things that the Patriots now have to counter. And if you're trying to do it without Jabril Peppers, it's going to be very tough. It does put a lot of pressure on Christian Gonzalez, Jonathan Jones, and Marcus Jones as that triumvirate that's going to start between the perimeter and, of course, the nickel. Then you look at now Kyle Duggar. A lot's going to be placed on his shoulders. If Jabril is not able to give it a go, is Jalen Hawkins the guy that comes up and does a little bit more? Do the Patriots go with the undrafted rookie free agent in Del Pettis, who has a tendency to hit pretty hard? He kind of reminds me a little bit of a young Jabril Peppers. Maybe he's a guy that could come in there and help add a little bit of thump into the lineup. Even with Peppers, I think the injuries right now put the Bengals at a little bit more of a disadvantage than the Peppers injury puts on the Patriots defense. So in that regard, I think the scales tip in the Patriots' favor a little bit, but you mentioned it. And you mentioned it very, very well. That offensive line and that Patriots offense is very suspect right now. And even if the defense is gaining a slight advantage over what could have been a scary Bengals offense, could be a long day in New England if that offense can't get things done.
It truly is. And, you know, it sounds, you know, sad to say it, but I truly mean it in terms of the drop off of quality. So yeah, it does tip the scales towards the Patriots. This injury report does, but that is still under the guise of the Bengals are a much better team than the Patriots, right? Especially on that offensive side. I don't see a world where the Patriots aren't one of the 3 or 4 worst offenses in football, the way it's constructed right now in week 1. And so it's just not a huge drop off for me to go from, you know, City So to a Leverett who was not terrific in that preseason finale at all, mostly playing center, not guard. But it's just a bigger drop off, I think, from the Bengals standpoint, and where we're going to see the Bengals, by the way, later on in the season, week 8, week 9, week 10, I think this team's going to be humming again. And when they have Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins out there and clicking, that I think, and the hope from the Patriots standpoint is that this Bengals offense looks way different in week 1 versus what it's going to look in 6, 7, 8 weeks here.
Right. Very, very good point. And again, I think it comes back to what the Patriots strategy should be going in, especially knowing now that if Higgins is not going to be in the lineup, or if he is, he's going to be a very much limited version of what he usually is. Chase is still going to have some rust on him, as you've articulated several times here. The Bengals may try to run the ball a little bit more now, try to utilize guys like Zach Moss and Chase Brown and Travion Williams and show off that new triumvirate of runners that essentially replaced Joe Mixon in the offseason. James Rapine and Jake Liskow, the hosts of Locked On Bengals, joined me earlier this week for a crossover, and they talked about how they believe the Bengals are going to run the ball better. But at the same time, if the Patriots are ready for that and they want to zero in on trying to stop this run, this is a team that averaged only 89.8 yards per game to rank 31st last year. Patriots, I still think, would be smart to force the Bengals to the ground. I still think that's their best option, because if Joe Burrow starts finding a rhythm with any of his pass catchers, it could be a long day with a bang up in that secondary. So all cause and effect, folks, when it comes to the Patriots and the Bengals injuries and potential non-players on Sunday. But ultimately, the Patriots are going to live or die by what they're able to do on the offensive side of the ball. Can they put up enough points against this Bengals defense to at least keep things interesting in the season opener? Cam Stewart and I are going to talk about that in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team to help you do it faster. Here's the best part, folks. They help you do it for free because LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. And on LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Patriots fans, thank you for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. We are getting you set for kickoff on Sunday, September 8th, the Patriots' regular season opener against the Cincinnati Bengals. 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff from Paycor Stadium in the Queen City. Joining me here today to break it all down is my good friend, the host of Locked On Baylor, and of course, my esteemed colleague here when it comes to Locked On Patriots and Locked On Boston. You'll hear him on the Postcast each and every game for your New England Patriots. My good friend and colleague, Cam Stuart. And Cam, the previous segment, we talked a lot about the injury report and the impact that a lot of these injuries will have on both the Patriots and the Bengals. But in terms of the ultimate impact on these teams, and in terms of what the Patriots are going to be able to do, if New England has a chance to beat the Bengals, they're going to have to hold that offense in check defensively, but they're also going to have to put points on the board. And you know as well as I, this offense is not exactly projected to be among the tops in the league this year. I'm being generous, folks, right now. It's ugly considering some of the predictions Cam and I have been reading about this New England Patriots offense. Obviously, the Patriots are going with a veteran here in Jacoby Brissett. This offensive line has been suspect all throughout training camp, all throughout the preseason. It got a little more suspect earlier this week when Sidy Sow was officially ruled out due to an ankle injury. Patriots have used a lot of different combinations this week in trying to make things work and keep at least a clean pocket for some of the time for Jacoby Brissett. Cam, when you look at this offense, you look at the offensive line, you look at what Alex Van Pelt is trying to do with the outside zone with a combination of Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson, who's also dealing with his own injury that could keep him from the game. He's still officially listed as questionable. A very young, inexperienced receiver core. And what the Bengals defense would love to do to this offense, especially that front seven. How concerned, in your opinion, should the Patriots be when it comes to what Jacoby Brissett and this offense can do against Cincinnati's defense?
Very concerned. I'm very concerned. I don't know how many of these games that they shouldn't be concerned until this offensive line can figure something out or until you get to the next quarterback, because that might be what it takes. Now, in terms of the injury, we talked about Jabril Peppers on the defensive side for the Patriots, but I think this Antonio Gibson one is sneaky if he can't play. We saw them really try to work him in as a pass catcher in this preseason and be kind of a safety blanket for their quarterbacks facing the rush. And I'm not saying he's going to beat Danny Woodhead in 2010 or anything, but you need some kind of safety blanket. And, you know, I'm a JaMychal Hasty guy, but I'm a JaMychal Hasty guy as your third back. And right. This is now thrusting him into your top pass catching back on the day, potentially, if Antonio Gibson is out. And if that's your safety blanket, I don't love that in an NFL regular season game. But truly the matchup that does not favor the Patriots, Trey Hendrickson. And that could get ugly. So Trey Hendrickson could see some second wind, in fact, to his career in year 8 or 9 here with this game tomorrow on Sunday against the Patriots. No matter how you shake it up, Mike, this is not an offensive line that is ready to handle a guy like that. You know, no matter who is in or out, the personnel that you have out there right now is not going to be able to handle a Trey Hendrickson, who's been one of the best pass rushers in the league the last 4, 5, 6 years. So that is the one that scares me the most. And you might not even see it as Trey Hendrickson going in and getting 3 or 4 sacks, but notice when the other defensive linemen make a play, how much attention is going to Trey Hendrickson. I mean, and deservedly so, right? But the Patriots for years and years were so good at neutralizing pass rushers. They were so good at running plays, and I should say all defensive linemen, the interior guys too, that were great against the run. They were unbelievable and one of the best in the league at running plays away from them and taking them out of the play. I don't think they have that kind of personnel to do now against Trey Hendrickson. So you couple one of the best pass rushers in the league against quite possibly the worst offensive line in the league, you're going to need that safety blanket, because I don't know how much time Jacoby's going to have back there.
Absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head when it comes to that. And I'm glad that you mentioned the injury to Antonio Gibson, really kind of making this a very difficult situation for the Patriots offense, because not only is this offensive line going to be patchwork and really, I think, going to have an extremely difficult time trying to contain someone like Trey Hendrickson, but also when you think about Jacoby Brissett's first option, he's going to try to get the ball out as quickly as possible on passing plays. That's going to be very difficult if your top pass catching back is out. And it's going to be even more difficult if you're getting teed off every 2 minutes, because if you're being rushed on almost every single play because your offensive line can't stop one of the best pass rushers in the league, it's a daunting task to begin with for any offensive line. But the Patriots offensive line is not well suited to be able to do that. Jake Liskow, my colleague here on Locked On Bengals during the crossover, said he would be terrified if it was any of the Patriots left tackle options that have to go against Trey on Sunday. Yeah, I think that's a very apt word, because this is a defense that can get after the passer, folks. Trey Hendrickson, 17.5 sacks last year. Sam Hubbard, 6. Combined for 23.5 of Cincy's 44 sacks a year ago. So that is a very lethal combination. And of course, the Patriots offensive line right now could have a heavy dose of Chuck Sikorofor, could have Michael Wenu playing a little bit out of, I don't want to say out of position, because he played tackle, and that is exactly where the Patriots signed him to play.
Right.
But he kicked back into guard.
It's not his
There's
strongest
a lot.
position.
Exactly. And now you're looking at a rookie in Layden Robinson coming in and trying to shore up that interior. The only sure thing is the center, the captain, David Andrews. We know he's going to be in the middle. He's going to have a lot of work ahead of him to be able to get this team on the same page. I also think it's interesting right now to think that the Patriots would still want to run the football, to take pressure off of Jacoby, to take pressure off of that offensive line. It's going to be very difficult, like you said, with Antonio Gibson out, if he in fact is out. If he's in there, it will give the Patriots a little bit more, but how effective will he be nursing a hip injury? So yes, you're going to deal with a heavy dose of Jermichael Hasty on Sunday. The Bengals did struggle to stop the run a year ago. They ranked 26th in the league at stopping the run in 2023, 136.3 yards per game. They were 23rd in the league at allowing yards per carry at 4.4. So Cincinnati is going to try to counter that. They did bring in Sheldon Rankins this offseason to try to help shore up that defense, help that front. BJ Hill, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt. This is going to be their main cog of trying to stop the Patriots' running game. That's going to be an improvement. So it's not going to be as easy for the Patriots to run the ball as it was for teams to run the ball against the Bengals last year. But you have to think that the Patriots need to establish Ramondre Stevenson in between the tackles, take some heat off Jacoby, take some heat off that patchwork offensive line. Is this their best strategy to try to gain some traction offensively on Sunday, Cam?
I think it is. In an ideal world, they'll be able to run the ball first and second down in this Alex Van Pelt offense, and then be able to take the top off a little bit. I always say that in relative terms when it's Jacoby Brissett. Take the top off a little bit in the play action. But one of the guys, I think, obviously Ramondre will be a huge part of that. If he's your franchise back, we got to see some of it. You know, I know so much of that position is dependent on the offensive line ahead of him, even more so than quarterback is, right? But you're paying him franchise running back money. Let's go out there and see if we can establish the run with him. And the other player that I'm thinking of on the offensive side, and this kind of comes into the running game a little bit, weirdly, stick with me here, Pop Douglas. You know, we talk about how Jacoby's not going to have much time to throw. I'm expecting a lot of short, intermediate routes from Pop Douglas. He's obviously the quickest receiver you have. He's the best at getting open of the ones that we've seen play in NFL regular season games that are going to be lining up for the Patriots. And I'll go back to an old Belichick Brady strategy that they kind of revolutionized outside of the West Coast offense, what they did. And that is the short pass setting up the pass, not just the run setting up the pass. Mm-hmm. And it's not a telltale sign of this Alex Van Pelt offense, but I think it's something that can really work for them with this offensive line that they have. Of you've got a quick guy who is very good at getting open, your classic slot receiver that New England's had for so many years. Pop Douglas fits that mold. So he's a guy who you can beat pressure with, especially if you don't have Antonio Gibson out there. He almost becomes like a third down, a pass catching back. And so, yeah, in an ideal world, though, Ramondre Stevenson looks like your franchise running back, and he's not averaging 50 yards a game like he did in his 12 games last year.
Yeah, very good point. And I think the Patriots may need to utilize the slot or need to utilize Pop Douglas in whatever role that you have him out there in that fashion, because it will give them a little bit of extra pop, no pun intended, over in the offense and give them a little explosiveness. And you mentioned trying to take the top off a guy you know very well, someone very near and dear to your heart. Tyquan Thornton is very good in that regard. So if they can use the Van Pelt style, the outside zone to facilitate play action, take the deep shot down the field, at this point, you kind of have to go with whatever you can. If you're the New England Patriots offense, take what that Bengals defense is going to give you and try to do as much with it as you possibly can. Even if they see it coming, it's one thing to see it coming. It's another thing to stop it. Do the Patriots have the talent to play that way? Well, we'll find out at 1 p.m. on Sunday. There's no question about that. And again, with Ramondre Stevenson, I think you make an excellent point. You've got to see it. We've got to see a little bit more of them finding creases in the defense than the tandem of Gibson and Stevenson all throughout training camp and in the preseason have done up to this point. If Gibson can't go, it's going to be on Hasty and it's going to be on Stevenson to be able to find those seams. If they can do it, that can help take pressure off the quarterback as well. And hopefully the New England Patriots can keep this one close. And speaking of keeping it close, do the Patriots have a legitimate puncher's chance to go into the Queen City and knock the Bengals down in week 1 and start the season 1-0? Cam Stewart and I are going to give our game prediction when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Listen up, Locked On listeners. Football is back, and there's never been a better time to use PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike those other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And here's something I know you're going to love. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. That's right. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, your picks are still live with PrizePicks. And my favorite thing about PrizePicks is they put their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. So don't delay, do it today. Download the PrizePicks app and use the code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL, that's LOCKEDON NFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on this pregame episode of Locked On Patriots, getting you ready for Sunday's kickoff, New England Patriots, Cincinnati Bengals. Once again, a 1 p.m. kickoff from the Queen City in Cincinnati, Ohio. And joining me here today to break it all down has been my colleague on the Locked On Patriots / Locked On Boston Postcast. And of course, you all know him from his amazing work on the network as host of Locked On Baylor, my good friend Cam Stewart. And Cam, thank you for joining me today. We've been breaking this all down from every angle, but I'm going to put you on the hot seat, Cam. When you look at this game, you look at the injuries, you look at what the Patriots have to do offensively to counter Cincinnati's defense, what the Patriots have to do defensively to help neutralize or marginally disrupt what the Bengals are going to try to do to the Pats on defense. Do the Patriots have a puncher's chance in this matchup?
Crazily enough, I think they have a puncher's chance, Mike. I do. I do. And when we looked at the schedule, knowing what this team was going to be, we see Cincinnati on the road week 1, and it's not a great look, right? But for all the things we talked about earlier in the show, for the rust and the injuries that Cincinnati's dealing with, I think they have something of a chance. The key guys I'm looking for, and I say this to say, I love this Patriots defense. I still do. I love it. Now, did I love it more a month ago? Yes, because in that last month and a half or so, obviously they trade Judon. Not terribly surprising, but you also don't have Christian Barmore, and I'm thinking, it sounds like the Patriots are thinking they might not have him for the whole year. That's what you got to expect at this point. Blood clots, that's a serious thing. And so as a guy who's a big Keon White truther, it all of a sudden, what looks like it's going to be a breakout season for Keon White, he's getting a lot more attention. So I would have given them more of a chance if they had what I thought was a better pass rush and just really a better front seven than they had a few weeks ago. So I'm not picking the Patriots to win this game, but I do think they have a chance. I think Burrow is in that elite status, and so he is going to figure it out. It kind of makes me think, the way I'm thinking about this game actually makes me think of Brady's comeback game against Buffalo in 2009, coming off his ACL injury, and it was a slow start. It did not look like Brady was back, and then in the last 5 minutes, he delivers 2 Ben Watson touchdowns, and lo and behold, he's Brady again. So I think this is one that the Patriots will hang with it because of their defense. But overall, I've got Cincinnati winning this one 24-13 is my final. It's not a runaway. It's not an elite offensive performance from Cincinnati. And I almost went with it. I almost went with 23-17 because this is the wishful thinker in me. The last time the Patriots opened the season in Cincinnati, they lost 23-17. They also won the Super Bowl that year of 2001. They were also expected to be a last place team then. So look, I'm just going to bring in all the melancholy, all the fugazi into it. It doesn't mean anything 23 years later, but I do have the Patriots losing this one, but hanging tight in it for longer than I thought they would before seeing this injury report and hearing some of these rumors throughout the week, especially about the Bengals offense.
Folks, if you wonder whether Cam has ingratiated himself as a member of La Familia here on Locked On Patriots, the Fugazi reference to Donnie Brasco, I love it. I can't get enough of it. Great stuff. Awesome stuff.
Cam. I will be saying Oof Maron quite a bit during this game.
I will as well. Season. Trust me. Yeah, there will be a little bit of anisette that will be consumed during this one, I'm sure. But look, bottom line, I agree with everything that you said. Look, if the New England Patriots are going to have that puncher's chance, and I do believe they have one, they need to establish the run. I think that's absolutely paramount. I think it's so vital for an Alex Van Pelt offense to establish the run, even if you're going to utilize the passing game in a greater fashion than I believe they're going to utilize it this coming Sunday. I think the Patriots need to do that. I think it's important to get Ramondre Stevenson involved, to get Jermichael Hasty involved. If Antonio Gibson is able to go, try to get him as involved as possible, as much as that hip will allow him to do so. So that's point one. If they're going to actually try to make this a game, and they're actually going to try to win this game, not just necessarily give themselves an outside puncher's chance to win it, they have to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And I think that's going to be very difficult for them to do so with a makeshift offensive line, with the difficulties that they've had up and down with the difficulties that they've had, especially now with Peppers being out. It's going to place a little bit more pressure on that defensive front seven to be quicker, to be a little more physical, and to keep Cincy's offense on its heels. I think that's going to be difficult, but the Patriots need to do it if they want to be able to win. And the last key, and I shared this again earlier this week on the crossover, is I think the Patriots may have to take advantage of a little luck if they have the opportunity to do it. Force a turnover, capitalize on turnovers or miscues or bad penalties by the Bengals. They're going to have to be the cleaner team. They're going to have to be the more disciplined team, and they're going to have to be the more penalty-free team in order to win this game. If they don't win those battles, I see a very long day for the New England Patriots on Sunday in the Queen City, in Cincinnati, against the Bengals. So I have the Patriots bowing out in this one, folks. Unfortunately, I have them losing 24-14 on Sunday. So Cam and I are pretty like-minded. Drop us a note in the comments section below, or you can reach out to us individually on Twitter. Cam, you can find him at the real Cam Stuart. You can find me at MDABATENFL. We'd love to hear your game predictions right up until kickoff. And then don't forget, you want to keep it right here on Locked On Patriots. The minute the final buzzer sounds, my good friend's going to be ready to go. He's going to be on the microphone and all set to go. And of course, another post-game show coming to you later in the afternoon from yours truly. Locked On Patriots is going to be your post-game destination each and every game day. Folks, I cannot tell you how excited I am for this season and to have Cam along for the ride. This postcast is in phenomenal hands. He's already doing a phenomenal job, and I, for one, cannot wait to share this season with him. So, my friend, thank you. A big tip of the cap, and thank you for all your wisdom and counsel today. Before I let you go, please let everyone know where they can reach out to you, interact with you, and any other great content that you'd like to share with our adoring public here on Locked On.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. It's at Real Cam Stewart on Twitter. That's where I'm having a lot of my takes out there. Also, we run a YouTube show. It's called The Cam Show, part of Rogue Media Sports Network. I run it out of Texas, but it's all Boston sports based. So a lot of Patriots discussion, of course. And Mike, you've been on there a few times as well.
Absolutely.
So we rope you in there too. We lasso you in there. And yeah, for the postcast, it is supposed to be kind of right at the final buzzer, like you said. It's emotional. It's raw. We're throwing it out there. So come freak out with me and then get Mike's measured, composed breakdown of the game to really get your opinion afterwards. Because I know that's what I will be doing every Sunday as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, you know what? Think of us like Sonny and Michael Corleone. I think that's probably the best way to go ahead and to put it. Sonny's going to have the hot blood. He's going to be ready. He's going to be all set to go. He wants to go after the Tatalias. And Michael's telling him, Sonny, wait, let's talk to Pop first. Okay? Let's find out what we need to find out. That's a good 1-2 combination. And my friend, thank you so much for the great work that you do. I can't wait to be a part of the postcasts as well. We're going to be interacting. We're going to be going back and forth. We're going to be working a lot in tandem this season, and I, for one, could not be more excited for it. And folks, thank you, all of you everydayers out there of Locked On Patriots, not only for all of your support that you provide to the pod each and every day, but most importantly, for sticking with us this week throughout my move here. We promise you the best is yet to come on Locked On Patriots, so download, subscribe, and follow. You are not going to want to miss a single second of the action. Folks, on behalf of Cam Stewart, I'm Mike Debate, reminding all of you to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change you wish to see in the world. Enjoy the game on Sunday, because football is back, and we're proud to bring it to you right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here post-game on Locked On Patriots.